Welcome to Analog and Digital Communication Laboratory. So in this lab we have combination of both analog and digital experiments, means which uses both analog signals as well as digital signals. So few of the experiments we are going to do using a kit, that is a light runner kit, and few of the experiments we will do using a YCOM-T kit, and few of the experiments we will do using discrete equipments. So in that, the first experiment is analog and digital fiber optic links. So using this link, we will find out the attenuation in the link, bending loss, and the numerical aperture of the optical fiber. So here the main equipment what we are using is the optical fiber cable. So this optical fiber, regarding this you have a subject itself in the 5th semester, that is optical communication systems and networks. So in that you will thoroughly understand the concept of optical fiber, right? So this is the main equipment what we are, main thing what we are using in this experiment. So in addition to this, we are going to use a signal generator. These experiments, I think you people already seen this in your 3rd semester laboratory. So this is your signal generator, which is used to generate our signal, that is analog signal or a digital signal. So it has a capacity of up to 3 megahertz. So we can generate a signal up to 3 megahertz. And here you can select the different frequency ranges using this buttons, and also using this knob you can vary the frequency up to 3 megahertz. And here we have a attenuation pad, means knob, so both 20 and 40 dB attenuation. So in few of the applications, if we have to introduce attenuation by ourselves, so we can use this. And we have two output ports here. One is TTL, another one is 50 ohm. So from this point we will get the analog signal, and from this point we will get the digital signal. Digital signal means it is most of the time square pulse, zeros and ones. So here we are getting a sinusoidal signal. And also we have 3 options here, different type of signals: sinusoidal signal, triangular wave, as well as a square wave. So here we can select any of the 3 waves. So this is about this signal generator. Next we have a oscilloscope, that is CRO, cathode ray oscilloscope. So I think you people have seen this also already. So this is mainly used to observe the waveforms, either an input wave or an output wave. Here we have 2 channels here, 2 channels. So any of the channel can be used for input as well as output. So 2 control knobs to control this channels, 2 channels. And here a selection mode button is there. So we can select either a channel 1, channel 2, or both. Dual means we can select both the channels at a time. So these are the controlling knobs. And here we have a time or division. So this knob is used to vary the time axis. So other knobs, all other knobs for controlling purpose. So here you can see both time division as well as in terms of frequency also we can observe, and the amplitude of the wave we can observe here in terms of volts or millivolts. So this is about the CRO. So in this experiment, one more equipment we are going to use is our OFT kit. OFT kit, that is optical fiber transceiver kit. So it is for transmitting as well as receiving the optical signal using a optical fiber cable. So in this kit you can observe, see, transmitter part is there, receiver part is there. So receiver part consists of coder, decoder, mux, demux. In the same way, transmitter part consists of signals what we are going to generate, either a analog data or a digital data. We have a mux here, some coding block is there, as well as timing and control block is there. And here we have transmitter and receiver part. See here, that is optical transmitter and receiver part. So here in this point we can transmit the optical signal. We have two transmitters as well as two receivers, optical transmitters and receivers, and here we have a electrical output in terms of electrical signal. So optical transmitter and receiver means it should use this optical fiber only to transmit as well as receive the signal. So this kit is going to use in this analog and digital link. So first we are going to do the analog link. See, in this kit we have an switch here. So using this switch, that is SW8 switch. So using this switch, either we can select a digital link or a analog link. So now we are doing analog link, so I am selecting analog. So switch should be in the downward position, right? And here 3 IO pins are there. 3 IO pins are there. That means these pins can be used either as a input ports or output ports. The same 3 ports are there here. So these ports are interconnected. These ports are internally connected. So as I already told, any of these 3 ports can be used for input as well as output. So here the IO1 I am using for input, to give the input to the kit. So where I am getting this input means, see, from the signal generator we are giving the input. So this is connected to the IO1. So these two are internally connected. So whatever we are giving here, the same thing will get at this point. So we are giving the input at this point, but we don't know what type of input we are giving here. So we need to observe that input. So that's why this second IO port I am using to observe the input signal what we are providing to the kit. So here whatever we are giving, it is coming at this point. Again the same thing will be given to this point. So using this cables. So whatever we are giving, we are getting at this point, and these two are internally connected. Again at this IO2 also we are getting the same thing. So using this port we are observing the input waveform. So as I already told, the CRO is going to use to observe the input output waves. So that's why I am connecting this input to the channel 1 of the CRO. So that this is the this is our input wave. So this is our input wave, you can observe. So next is this third port IO3 I am using to observe the output of the system. So I am connecting this IO3 to the channel 2 of the CRO to observe the output wave. So you can observe here. So this is our output signal. So IO2 and IO3, these two ports are using to observe the waveforms, input-output waveforms. So the next thing is, so whatever we are supplying the input to this kit, that will be given to this analog in. Right? So this is the input signal that is in the electrical form we are giving to this kit. So that will be given to this optical transmitter circuit. So what it actually do means, whatever we are giving the analog signal, the input signal, that will be converted into a light signal using this block, optical receiver. So that means here we are generating our actual light input, the light signal. So that will be transmitted through this optical fiber cable. So this will be given to the receiver, optical receiver. It means Here also we are getting the light input. Here also we are getting the light input. So here we have a internal circuit. Actually it contains a gain circuit also. So after transmitting through this optical fiber cable, the signal strength may get reduced. So we need to strengthen the signal. So we have a gain circuit here. So at point P32, what we are getting the signal, that is our actual output signal. So this signal we may not able to see, receive the signal because of the weakened signal. So what we are doing here is using this gain circuit, we are providing the gain. That means we are strengthening the signal, that is optical signal. So after gaining this energy, so at pin P31 we are getting our output signal that will be given to our IO3. So this output we are observing at this CRO. We are observing at the CRO screen, that is channel 2. So now you can observe the both input as well as output signal. You can observe input as well as output signal. So what we have done now till now is we have set up an analog link. The analog link has some parameters, that is bending laws, numerical aperture. So before doing that, bending laws and numerical aperture, using these two input and output waves, we need to plot a graph, that is input versus output graph. So you can see this tabular column. We have a frequency in hertz, output voltage in volts. So initially we need to tabulate the input voltage also in terms of volts. So as we keep on increasing this frequency, we need to note down the output voltage. So initially we have noted down the input voltage. So now we have different output voltages. So we need to find out the gain value, that is V out by V in. So always gain is equal to output by input. So output voltage divided by input voltage. So we will calculate the gain. So gain, it is in terms of volts, convert it into dB. So gain in dB, right? So this gain in terms of dB, what we have, so this we need to plot using a semi-log sheet. So this is called a semi-log sheet. So in this, so voltage, that is input voltage versus the frequency versus the gain we are going to plot. X-axis, in the x-axis we are considering the frequency, in the y-axis we are considering the gain in terms of dB. So for different frequencies we need to plot different gains. So we'll get the output waveform like this. So it is just like a filter response, that is for band pass filter. So this is same as a response for a band pass filter. So this is how actually this analog link will work. So how to note down these values? So we will see that. See here. So here we need to increase the input frequency. So before increasing this, you first note down the output voltage. So how to note down this output voltage? So that means the amplitude of the wave, input wave. So you select the channel 1, only channel 1 here. So how many blocks it has covered the wave vertically? vertically how many blocks it has covered. You observe it. See, 1, 2, 3. 3 blocks are covered. 3 blocks are covered. So this 3 multiply with the voltage what we are observing here in the channel 1, the channel 1, that is 50 millivolts. 50 millivolts, it's 3 into 50 millivolts, that is your input voltage. That is your input voltage. So this input voltage won't change, voltage is fixed. So only we are varying the frequency of the input signal. Only we are varying the frequency of the input signal. So see, this is our input wave, this is our output wave. So now what we need to do, we need to note down the different output voltages with respect to different frequencies, right? So see, observe here 294, so almost set it to 300 hertz. 300 hertz. So 300 hertz. At 300 hertz, you measure the output frequency. Measure the output frequency. So at this point, you can select only channel 2. So because we are measuring only the output frequency, so you can set to channel 2 and observe only the So this is our output wave. So at 300 hertz, what is the output voltage? So how many blocks it has covered vertically? Observe 1, 2, 3. So 3. So each block is divided into 5 slots. 5 slots. So each slot we consider it as 0.2. Each slot is considered as 0.2. So 3 blocks plus 2 slots it has covered. So 3.4, almost it is 3.4. So 3.4 into, so we are measuring this output at channel 2. So we need to consider this channel 2. So channel 2 is set to 50 millivolts. 50 millivolts. So 3.4 into 50 millivolts. 3.4 into 50 millivolts. So that is your output voltage. That is your output voltage. So likewise you need to measure, you need to note down the different output voltages for different frequencies. So now it is 300 hertz. So increase it to 400. Or 500. Okay, it is almost 700 hertz. At 700 hertz, what is the output voltage? Again, it is number of blocks covered. It is 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost 4 blocks covered. So 4 into 50 millivolts. So this is your output voltage at 700 hertz. So in like this, you need to measure the output voltage for each and every frequency in terms of 100, in steps of 100 hertz or 200 hertz. So now I am going to measure at 1 kilohertz. So at 1 kilohertz, it has covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.2, one slot, 4.2 into 50 millivolts. So this is the voltage at 1 kilohertz. So after 1 kilohertz, I will increase in steps of 1 kilohertz. So I will check at 2 kilohertz. At 2 kilohertz, you can observe it is almost same. Whatever we get at 1 kilohertz, the same voltage we are getting at 2 kilohertz. Next time I will increase to 3 kilohertz. So it is almost same. So this will continue for some frequency, some band of frequencies. can observe. So observe the waveform. When the waveform means the peak of the waveform get reduced, so at that point we will check what is the frequency. So all these frequencies you need to note it down. See, at this point it is reducing. Here it is same. Here it has come to almost 4 blocks at 300 kilohertz. So now onwards the the amplitude will get reduced. Keep on reducing as we keep on increasing the frequency. So we need to note down. So this we need to note it down. Different voltage values, output voltage values for different frequencies. You can observe here at 25 hertz we are getting on 0.3 volts, 50 hertz 0.4. So as we increase the frequency, the voltages keep on increasing. At some point it is constant, almost constant, 1.65 constant, almost slight change again. So this you can neglect. So we won't get like this. See 0.65, 0.7 again. So almost we'll get a single scale here. So 1.65 constant frequency. After that, at some point it is keep on decreasing. So this variation in the voltage with the variation in the frequency we need to note down and calculate the gain in terms of dB and plot the graph. So you'll get the graph like this. Right? So in this, one thing what you can measure is bandwidth you can measure. So from the maximum point, gain point, take a 3 dB minus 3 dB point, means, so it is almost 2 dB if I consider the maximum. From this point minus 3 dB. So 2 to 1, 1 to 0, 0 to minus 1. So at minus 1 we will get minus 3 dB point. If I draw a horizontal line at minus 1 dB, so I'll get 2 cutoff points on the graph. So at these points I'll draw a vertical line on the frequency scale. So we'll get a frequency. It is almost 90 hertz. Here it is 25 megahertz. So this is our band of frequency where this analog link will work. So this is the maximum gain what we are getting, that is 2 dB. So where exactly we are getting this maximum gain? So in this the maximum gain is almost 2.3. Yes, it is 2.3. So where we are getting this maximum gain? At these frequencies we need to measure the bending loss and the numerical aperture. So I'll fix that maximum gain band. see the frequency is not, the voltage is not getting high. So this is our maximum gain band. So we need to set the frequency at this point. So at this point we need to measure both numerical aperture as well as bending loss. So first we'll do the bending loss. We'll do the bending loss first. So what to do for the what is the steps to do the bending loss? So see, this is our optical fiber which we are using to transmit the signal here. So at this point we are getting the maximum voltage. What I will do now is, so I will bend the fiber. So by bending this fiber, there is a decrease in the output voltage. You can observe in the waveform. See, initially without bending, this is the voltage we are getting. That is almost it has covered 4 blocks, 4.2 into 50 millivolts. This is the voltage we are getting without bending. See, and now I am bending the fiber with some radius. See, you can observe the output now. It has covered almost 3.8, 3 full blocks plus 0.8, 3.8 into 50 millivolts with the bending of this much scale. So now what we need to do is, so I need to measure this radius of bending. So I have bended this fiber with a circular bend. So for this circular bend, I need to measure the radius. With what radius? What is the output voltage we are getting? See, I am measuring this radius. So it is around 3.2 centimeter. 3.2 centimeter. So for 3.2 centimeter radius of curvature, what is the voltage? We are getting? That you need to measure. The voltage is 3.8 into 50 millivolts. Right? So this is for 3.2 centimeter. So now I am bending the fiber with a reducing the radius with large radius of, see, you can observe the waveform. After bending further, there is a further decrease in the output voltage. So what is the output voltage now? It covers almost 2 blocks, full blocks plus 0.6. That is 2.6 into 50 millivolts. That is the output voltage. So this voltage we are getting at the radius of curvature of almost 2 centimeters. For 2 centimeters of radius of curvature, we are getting the voltage of 2.6 into 50 millivolts. It means as we keep on reducing the diameter of the bending, there is a decrease in the voltage. So this is how we need to tabulate the values. See, diameter in the centimeter, input voltage, output voltage. Input voltage is fixed again. So initially what is the input voltage we have noted down? So this is the initial voltage what we are getting at this point. So diameter for 7 centimeters, this is the value we are getting output voltage. I have decreased the diameter, so again decrease in the voltage, again decrease in the diameter, decrease in the voltage. Likewise, as we keep on reducing this diameter of bending, reduction in the output voltage occurs. It means there is a loss in the output. output. That loss is because of bending of the fiber. So it is bending loss. We have found out the bending loss. So this is the one thing we need to do in this experiment. The other one is numerical aperture we need to find out. Numerical aperture. So what is numerical aperture? So that you will understand thoroughly in your theory. Numerical aperture. So how to find out this numerical aperture? Again, this numerical aperture should be find out at the maximum output voltage. Where at what frequency we are getting the maximum output voltage. At that point only we need to find out the numerical aperture. So what is the procedure to find out this numerical aperture? So this is the equipment we are going to use to find out the numerical aperture. So what I will do is, I will remove the fiber from this receiver, right? And also see, this is at 850 nanometer. At 850 nanometer it is generating the light signal. At this wavelength we can't observe the wave, means light. So what we will do is, we will connect this at 650 nanometer. We are going to measure the numerical aperture. So from this point we will connect the optical fiber cable, and using this device we are going to measure the numerical aperture. So again, this numerical aperture is finding out for different distance, we can say. So the different distance means, so distance from the flat surface of this device and the end of the wire. So by varying this distance we are going to measure different circular path what we are observing here. See, you can observe this. See, we are getting a light in the form of a circle, So what we need to do is, we need to find out the diameter of this circle, light circle. So we have a scale, horizontal scale as well as vertical scale. So we need to measure the diameter of this circle vertically as well as horizontally. Because it is a circle, so we will get the diameter same both in horizontal direction as well as vertical direction. So first we need to find out the distance from this flat surface to the end of the fiber cable. So how to measure is scale. So see, so this is the distance. This is the distance from the flat surface of the device and the end of the cable. That is around 1.6 centimeter. 1.6 centimeter. For 1.6 centimeter, what is the diameter? See here. So this is the distance in centimeter, and BC and the DE is the diameter of the circle, or is vertical direction as well as horizontal direction. So almost same we will get, but if there is a slight difference here, see 0.4, 0.3, 0.5, 0.5, we won't get actually like this, almost equal we will get. So the diameter, so find out the diameter of this circle. So vertical direction, in the vertical direction as well as in the horizontal direction. So it is almost 1.5 centimeter, 1.5 centimeter both in horizontal direction as well as vertical direction for a distance of 1.8. What I will do is, I will reduce the distance between the flat surface and the tip of the cable. So now the distance is almost 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter. So for this distance, the light circle diameter is almost 1 centimeter, not 1, even less, almost 0.8 centimeter. 0.8 centimeter both in horizontal as well as vertical direction. So likewise, by varying the distance between the flat surface of the device and the tip of the wire, we need to find out the diameter of the circles. For different distances, we have found out the different diameter values. So if I am finding this, calculate the value x. Calculate the value x. X is nothing but DE plus BC, that is the diameter, divided by 4. Divided by 4. So with this value, we have a formula to find out the numerical aperture. That is, numerical aperture is equal to x. X is nothing but this value. X divided by square root of x square plus alpha square. Alpha is the distance. X square plus alpha square. So using this formula, we can find out the numerical aperture. For different distance values, to get different numerical aperture values. So by taking the average of these values, we will get a numerical aperture value. Numerical aperture value, right? So thus, using this numerical aperture, even we can find the critical angle. Critical angle. This is actually not required. Our aim is to find out the numerical aperture, right? So these are the two things we need to find out using the analog link. Using the analog link. So using this same, one more experiment we need to conduct, that is our digital link. What are the changes we need to do here is, for the same setup, we need to change this switch to digital. And so after setting the switch to digital, the one thing we need to change is, so instead of giving the input to the analog in, that is P11 pin, so we need to give it to a coder block, that is at pin S6, B port of the S6. So why we are giving to this Manchester coder? So in digital coding, digital modulation, we are going to use coding as well as decoding, that is encoding and decoding before transmitting, right? So that's why before transmission of the signal, we are doing the coding operation. So here we are using Manchester coding technique. So we have a inbuilt block here. So to that block we are giving the input. And also one more thing we need to change is, so for analog link, we are taking the output at this 50 ohm output point. Here we need to take the output from the TTL logic, transistor logic point. So here we are getting the 5 volts peak to peak output signal, that is digital signal. So after giving this Manchester coder, so that will be feeding to this transmitter, and that is transmitting through this optical fiber cable. So we are receiving at the receiver. Again same thing, we have a gain block. At P32 we will get without gain, at P31 we will get the signal with gain. So after receiving the signal, we need to decode it, because we are encoded at the transmitter, so we need to decode at the receiving point. So this output is internally connected to this decoding point, that is decoder. So we will get the output at this decoder point. So before decoding, what we are getting the output. So we will observe that. So output is connected from P31 to this output port. So at this point, what we are observing, see here, we are observing both input as well as output. So this is our output, input wave, that is below 1. This is our input. So this is our output. The first waveform is output. This is the second output, second wave is the input wave. So observe both the waves. overlap these two, you can observe. So for input 1 we are getting 0 output. See here, for 1 we are getting 0, for 0 we are getting 1. It means before decoding operation we are getting the opposite output, that is a minute. So we will observe how exactly we are getting the output before decoding operation and the after decoding operation. So see here, so this is our actual input 10101. So this is our input. So before giving to this decoder block, directly we are seeing the output from the receiver part. So at this point what we are getting is, this is the output. For 1 we will get 0, for 0 we will get 1. So that is after opposite. So this is the Manchester coded data. Manchester coded data, that means we are using a Manchester encoding technique. So we are getting the Manchester encoded data. So this is our encoded data. So if we use a decoder block, if we measure the output at this decoder output, so you can observe here, see, for 1 we will get 1, for 0 we will get 0. That means for 1 we will get 1, for 0 we will get 0. So whatever we are transmitting the input, exact input we are getting at the output. So this is our output. So after decoding we will get whatever we transmitted, the same thing we will get at the output. So this we need to observe in the digital link. And one more thing, here we need to find out the bandwidth. So how to find out this bandwidth? Means, so we need to get the output at the receiver. So this waveform, whatever we are getting, the pulse waveform. So as we keep on increase the frequency, this square pulse actually converted into a sine wave. It means at some frequency we are not able to distinguish between 1 and 0. It is almost converted into a sine wave. So still here we can observe 1 and 0. Still we can observe 1 and 0. So at some point we not able to find 1 and 0. We can't differentiate between 1 and 0. So that frequency point we need to note down. Multiply that frequency into 2. Multiply that frequency by 2. So that will gives you the. So in this example, we are getting almost 14 kilohertz. So multiply this by 2. This will gives you our bandwidth. So the 28 kilohertz is the bandwidth at which this digital link can work. So after this bandwidth, we are not able to find out the square pulse. It is almost sine wave, means we are not able to distinguish between ones and zeros. So this is the you know thing we need to calculate, that is the bandwidth in using this digital link. In analog link, using analog link, we are going to find out on bending loss and numerical aperture. So this finishes the experiment analog and digital link. So attenuation is there. So this attenuation actually we will do using another kit, that is light runner kit. So we will do it in the next class. So this finishes the first experiment.